Amara had married Emeka, the senator's son, 3 years after she left Chidi. The wedding was big and expensive, with over 1,000 guests. Amara posted pictures all over social media, showing off her designer wedding dress and her diamond ring. Chidi saw the pictures. Everyone saw the pictures. But Chidi did not feel anything. His heart had become like stone when it came to Amara. He had moved on, or at least he thought he had. But Amara had not moved on from thinking about Chidi. She had made a mistake, and she knew it now. Emeka turned out to be a lazy man who lived off his father's money. It did not work. He did not have ambition. He spent his days playing video games and going to parties. Amara's marriage was not happy, but she could not admit that to anyone. She had to pretend everything was perfect because her pride would not let her admit she had chosen wrong. Then one day, Amara heard about Chidi's success. She heard he was now richer than Emeka's family. She heard he was now one of the most eligible bachelors in Lagos. And something twisted inside her. It was not love. It was regret mixed with jealousy and anger. How dare Chidi become successful without her? How dare he prove her wrong? Amara decided to divorce Emeka. It was easy because Emeka did not really care. He was already dating 2 other women anyway. After the divorce, Amara waited exactly 3 months, and then she started planning something evil. She started dating a businessman named Obinna, a man who was rich but not as rich as Chidi. Obinna was nice enough, and more importantly, he was willing to give Amara the big, fancy wedding she wanted. But this wedding had a special purpose. Amara was going to invite Chidi. She was going to make sure he saw her getting married again, saw her looking beautiful and happy. She wanted him to feel the pain she now felt. She wanted him to regret becoming successful without her. She wanted him to realize what he had lost. So Amara sent Chidi a wedding invitation. It came in a golden envelope, delivered by a special courier to his office. Inside was a card that said, "You are invited to celebrate the marriage of Amara Nduka and Obinna Okonkwo. We would be honored by your presence." At the bottom, Amara had written in her own handwriting, "I hope you can make it, Chidi. It would mean a lot to me." When Chidi opened the invitation, his secretary was in the room. She saw his face change from surprise to something else, something cold. "Are you going to go, sir?" she asked. Chidi looked at the invitation for a long time. Then he smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was a smile that said he had a plan. "Yes," Chidi said. "I will go. And I will bring someone special with me." That someone special was waiting outside in Chidi's car at this very moment. Her name was Ngozi, and she had been Chidi's maid for the past 2 years. But Ngozi was not an ordinary maid, and what happened next would shock everyone, especially Amara. The day of the wedding arrived with bright sunshine that made Lagos sparkle like gold. Chidi woke up early in his mansion and called Ngozi to his study. Ngozi was a quiet woman, around 28 years old, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. She had been working as Chidi's housekeeper, cooking his meals and keeping his big house clean. Most people barely noticed her because she dressed simply and kept to herself. But Chidi noticed her. He noticed how she hummed while she walked. He noticed how she never asked him for anything extra. He noticed how she reminded him of his mother, humble and dignified. "Ngozi," Chidi said that morning, "I need you to do something for me today." Ngozi nodded, wiping her hands on her apron. "Yes sir, anything." Chidi handed her a box, a big expensive box from the fanciest store in Lagos. "I need you to wear what is inside this box. I need you to come with me to a wedding today." Ngozi looked confused. "Sir, but I am just your maid. Why would you take me to a wedding?" Chidi smiled. "Just trust me, Ngozi. Today is very important. Just wear what is in the box and be ready by 2 o'clock." When Ngozi opened the box in her small room at the back of the mansion, she gasped. Inside was the most beautiful white dress she had ever seen. It was simple but elegant, made of silk that felt like water in her hands. There were also silver shoes, a silver purse, and a note that said, "You deserve to feel beautiful today." Ngozi's hands trembled as she touched the dress. She had never owned anything so fine in her entire life. She came from a poor village in Anambra State, and working for Chidi was the best job she ever had. But why was he being so kind to her? What was happening? At exactly 2 o'clock, Ngozi walked out of her room wearing the white dress. She had styled her natural hair in a simple bun and put on just a little makeup. When Chidi saw her, he stood up from his chair and stared. Ngozi looked completely different. She looked stunning. "You look perfect," Chidi said softly. "Are you ready?" Ngozi nodded, even though her heart was beating very fast. She did not understand what was happening, but she trusted Chidi. He had always been kind to her, always treated her with respect, even though she was just his maid. They drove to the wedding in Chidi's white Range Rover. The wedding was being held at the Oriental Hotel, one of the most expensive hotels in Lagos. As they pulled up to the entrance, Ngozi saw all the fancy cars and well-dressed people, and she started to panic. "Sir, I do not belong here," she whispered. "These people are rich and important. I am just a village girl." Chidi turned to her and took her hand. "Ngozi, listen to me. You belong anywhere you choose to be. Do not let anyone make you feel small. Today, you walk in there with your head high. Can you do that for me?" Ngozi looked into Chidi's eyes and saw something there that gave her courage. She nodded. "Yes, sir, I can." That is when they walked through the golden doors, and the entire wedding hall fell silent. Every single person turned to look at them. Amara, who was standing at the altar waiting for the ceremony to begin, felt her smile freeze on her face. She could not believe what she was seeing. Chidi looked even more handsome than she remembered, wearing an expensive navy blue suit that fit him perfectly. But the woman with him, the woman in the white dress, who was she? Why was she so beautiful? And why did seeing Chidi with another woman feel like a knife in Amara's chest? Chidi and Ngozi walked slowly to their seats near the front. Amara had made sure to give Chidi a front row seat because she wanted him to see everything clearly. But now she was regretting that decision. As they sat down, people began whispering. "Who is that woman with Chidi Okafor? She is so beautiful. Where did she come from? Look at that dress, it must cost a fortune." Obinna, the groom, noticed his bride's face had gone pale. "Amara, are you okay?" he whispered. But Amara could not answer. She was staring at Chidi and the mystery woman, her mind racing with questions and emotions she did not want to feel. This was supposed to be her day of revenge. This was supposed to make Chidi feel bad. But instead, she was the one feeling terrible. The wedding ceremony began, but Amara could barely focus. She kept glancing at Chidi, trying to see his reaction, but his face showed nothing. He sat calmly, holding the hand of the woman beside him, looking completely unbothered. When it was time for Amara and Obinna to say their vows, Amara's voice shook. People thought she was emotional with happiness, but really, she was fighting back tears of regret. Finally, the ceremony ended. Amara and Obinna were now husband and wife. Everyone clapped and cheered. The reception began with music and dancing and expensive food. Amara kept watching Chidi from across the room. She saw how he leaned down to whisper things to the woman in white, how the woman would smile and blush. It was driving Amara crazy. She had to know who this woman was. During the reception, Amara's mother, Mrs. Nduka, came up to her. "Amara, my daughter, I cannot believe Chidi Okafor came to your wedding. And did you see that woman with him? Who is she? She must be from a very important family." Amara gritted her teeth. "I do not know, Mama. But I am going to find out." Amara waited until there was a break in the festivities, then she walked straight toward Chidi's table. Her new husband Obine tried to stop her, saying, "Amara, where are you going? We need to cut the cake soon," but Amara ignored him. She walked across the reception hall in her heavy wedding dress, her high heels clicking on the marble floor, her heart pounding in her chest. When she reached Chidi's table, she put on her biggest, fakest smile. "Chidi," she said sweetly. "Thank you so much for coming. It means the world to me." Chidi looked up at her calmly. "Congratulations, Amara. I hope you will be very happy." His voice was polite but cold, like he was talking to a stranger. Amara's smile faltered a little, but she continued. "I see you brought a guest. Are you going to introduce me?" Chidi looked at Ngozi, then back at Amara. For a moment, he said nothing. The silence stretched out uncomfortably. Then, finally, Chidi spoke. "Amara, this is Ngozi. She is my maid." The words hit Amara like a thunderbolt. She felt her mouth drop open in shock. Your maid," she repeated, unable to believe what she was hearing. Around them, people who had been listening gasped. The whisper started immediately, spreading through the reception like wildfire. Did he just say maid? He brought his maid to the wedding. In that expensive dress. Why would he do that? But Chidi was not finished. He stood up, still holding Ngozi's hand gently, and looked Amara straight in the eyes. What he said next would become the talk of Lagos for months to come, and would make Amara wish she had never sent him that wedding invitation. Chidi stood tall and spoke in a voice that was quiet but clear enough for everyone nearby to hear. "Yes, Ngozi is my maid. But she is also the most honest, kind, and genuine person I have ever met. She has more class and dignity in her little finger than most people in this room have in their entire body. I brought her here today because I wanted to show her what real wealth looks like. Not the fake kind that comes from your father's pocket or your husband's family name, but the kind that comes from inside a person's heart." He paused and looked around at all the shocked faces staring at them. "And also, I wanted to show someone special that I have learned what truly matters in life. It is not about impressing people who do not deserve to be impressed. It is about honoring people who deserve to be honored." The reception hall went completely silent. You could hear a pin drop. Amara's face turned red, then white, then red again. She felt like she was going to faint. Everyone was staring at her now, and she knew exactly what they were thinking. They were thinking about how she had left Chidi when he was poor. They were thinking about how she had chosen Emeka and then Obine for their money. They were thinking that Chidi had just publicly embarrassed her at her own wedding. Tears filled Amara's eyes, but they were not tears of sadness. They were tears of anger and humiliation. "How dare you," she whispered. "How dare you come to my wedding and insult me like this?" Chidi's expression did not change. "I did not insult you, Amara. I simply told the truth. You invited me here to make me feel bad about myself, to show me what I lost when you left me. But you were wrong. I did not lose anything when you left. I gained something. I gained the knowledge of what I did not want in my life. I wanted someone real, someone who would love me when I had nothing, not someone who would only love me when I had everything." Ngozi, who had been sitting quietly through all of this, suddenly stood up. Her hand was still in Chidi's, and she looked at Amara with kind but firm eyes. "Madam Amara," Ngozi said softly, "I am sorry if our presence here has upset you on your wedding day. That was not our intention. Mr. Chidi is a good man, the best man I have ever known. He pays me 3 times what other madams pay their housekeepers. When my mother was sick last year, he paid for all her hospital bills and never asked me to pay him back. When my younger brother needed school fees, Mr. Chidi paid for his entire education. He treats me like a human being, not like a servant. That is the kind of man he is. I think you made a big mistake when you left him, but that is not my business. I just wanted you to know that some of us can see the real value in people, even if others cannot. The crowd gasped again. A maid had just lectured a bride at her own wedding. This was unheard of. This was scandalous. This was the most exciting thing that had happened at a legal society wedding in years. People were already pulling out their phones, texting their friends, posting on social media. By tomorrow morning, everyone in Lagos would know what happened at Amara's wedding. Amara could not take it anymore. She turned and ran out of the reception hall, her wedding dress trailing behind her, tears streaming down her face. Her new husband Obinna ran after her, calling her name. Her parents looked mortified. Her guests looked shocked and entertained in equal measure. And Chidi and Ngozi quietly sat back down at their table as if nothing had happened. But something had happened. Something big. And it was not over yet. After about 20 minutes, Amara's father, Chief Nduka, walked over to Chidi's table. He was a big man with a stern face, wearing traditional Nigerian attire that showed his status and wealth. "Young man," Chief Nduka said in a deep voice, "I need to speak with you. Now." Chidi looked at the chief calmly. "Yes, sir, what can I do for you?" Chief Nduka's jaw tightened. "You have disrespected my daughter at her own wedding. You have embarrassed my family in front of all these important people. I want you to leave immediately." Chidi took a sip of his drink before responding. "With all due respect, Chief, your daughter invited me to this wedding. I came as her guest. I have not caused any trouble. I simply answered her question honestly when she asked who my companion was. If the truth is embarrassing to your family, perhaps you should ask yourselves why that is." Chief Nduka's face turned purple with anger. "You were nothing when my daughter met you. A security guard with holes in his shoes. She gave you a chance, and you were not good enough. Now you have some money and you think you can come here and disrespect us." Chidi stood up slowly. He was tall, almost as tall as Chief Nduka, and when he spoke, his voice was steady and strong. "Chief Nduka, let me tell you something. Your daughter did not give me a chance. She gave up on me. There is a difference. And yes, I was a security guard with holes in my shoes. But I was also a man with dreams, with ambition, with plans to build something great. Your daughter could not see that. She could only see what I did not have, not what I could become. That was a choice, and I respect it. But do not stand here and tell me I was not good enough. I was always good enough. Your family just could not see it." The people at nearby tables were watching and listening to everything. This confrontation was even more dramatic than the earlier scene. Chief Nduka raised his hand as if he was going to strike Chidi, but then he stopped himself. He was in public, surrounded by witnesses. He could not afford to look violent or unreasonable. Instead, he pointed his finger at Chidi's face. "You will regret this, young man. I have connections. I have power. I can make things very difficult for your businesses." Chidi smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "Chief, I have built my businesses from nothing. I have faced difficulties you cannot even imagine. Your threats do not scare me. But let me give you some free advice. Instead of threatening me, go and comfort your daughter. She is crying in a bathroom somewhere, on what is supposed to be the happiest day of her life. That is what a good father would do." Chief Nduka's mouth opened and closed like a fish. He could not think of anything to say. Finally, he turned and walked away, his shoulders stiff with anger. Chidi sat back down next to Ngozi, who looked worried. "Sir, did I cause trouble for you?" she asked. "Will that chief really make problems for your business?" Chidi shook his head. "No, Ngozi. Men like Chief Nduka make a lot of noise, but they have less power than they think. Do not worry about it. Are you ready to leave?" I think we have made enough of an impression for one day. But just as they were about to stand up and leave, something unexpected happened. Obinna, the groom, came walking toward their table. His face looked tired and sad. He stopped in front of Chidi and said, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" "Alone?" Chidi looked surprised but nodded. He told Ngozi he would be right back, then followed Obinna to a quiet corner of the reception hall. "What do you want to talk about?" Chidi asked. Obinna ran his hand through his hair and let out a long breath. "I want to thank you," he said quietly. Chidi frowned. "Thank me? For what?" "For ruining your wedding." Obinna shook his head. "No, for showing me the truth. Listen, I need to tell you something. Amara does not love me. I know that. I have always known that. She loves you. She has always loved you. She talks about you in her sleep sometimes. She looks at your pictures on the internet when she thinks I am not watching. When she heard you became successful, something changed in her. She became obsessed with proving that she made the right choice by leaving you. That is why she wanted this big wedding. That is why she invited you. She wanted to hurt you the way she is hurting inside." Chidi listened carefully. He did not interrupt. Obinna continued, "I am not a fool. I knew all of this before I agreed to marry her. But I thought maybe, with time, she would forget about you and learn to love me. But now I see that is impossible. You bringing your maid here today, that was brilliant. You showed Amara and everyone else that you have moved on, that you do not care about impressing people with fake appearances. You showed everyone what real confidence looks like. And you made me realize that I'm making a mistake by marrying a woman who is in love with someone else." Chidi did not know what to say. He had not expected this. "So what are you going to do?" he asked. Obinna smiled sadly. "I do not know yet. But I wanted you to know the truth about why Amara invited you. It was not just to show off. It was because she cannot let you go. She made the biggest mistake of her life when she left you, and she knows it. Now she has to live with that mistake." With those words, Obinna walked away, leaving Chidi standing alone in the corner, his mind racing with thoughts. When Chidi returned to Ngozi, she could see something had changed in his expression. "Is everything okay, sir?" she asked. Chidi nodded slowly. "Yes, everything is fine. Come on, let us go home." They walked out of the reception hall together, and as they left, Chidi noticed something. Amara was standing near the entrance, half hidden behind a pillar. She was watching them leave. Her makeup was smudged from crying, and her beautiful wedding dress looked rumpled. When their eyes met for just a second, Chidi saw something in her face that surprised him. It was not anger anymore. It was pure heartbreak. For a moment, just a tiny moment, Chidi felt sorry for Amara. But then he remembered all the pain she had caused him, all the nights he had cried because of her, all the times she had made him feel like he was not good enough. He remembered how she had thrown away their love because he did not have money. And his sympathy disappeared. He took Ngozi's hand and walked out into the sunshine, leaving Amara and her regrets behind. On the drive back to his mansion, Ngozi was very quiet. Chidi noticed and asked, "What are you thinking about?" Ngozi hesitated, then said, "Sir, can I ask you a question? Why did you really bring me to that wedding? You could have brought any woman. You know many beautiful, educated, rich women. Why me? Why your maid?" Chidi was quiet for a long time. The Range Rover glided through Lagos traffic as he thought about how to answer. Finally, he spoke. "Ngozi, do you remember when you first came to work for me 2 years ago?" Ngozi nodded. "Yes, sir, I remember. I was so nervous. I had never worked in such a big house before." Chidi smiled. "Do you remember what you said to me on your first day?" Ngozi thought back. "I said, I said thank you for giving me a chance. I promised I would work very hard and never disappoint you. Yes, Chidi said. But do you remember what else you said? Ngozi shook her head, confused. Chidi continued, you said, sir, I know I am just a village girl with no education and no fancy manners, but I promise I will be loyal to you. I will treat your home like my own home. I will treat you with respect, not because you pay me, but because that is how I was raised. Those words touched something in my heart, Ngozi. You reminded me of myself when I was young and poor but still had dignity. You reminded me of what real value looks like. It does not come from money or education or fancy manners. It comes from character, from honesty, from loyalty. He paused, then said, I brought you to that wedding today because I wanted Amara to see what she could never understand. That the most valuable people are not always the ones wearing expensive clothes or driving fancy cars. Sometimes the most valuable people are the ones who serve others with dignity and grace. I wanted her to see that I have learned to appreciate what really matters. And also, Chidi hesitated. Also what, sir? Ngozi asked softly. Chidi pulled the car over to the side of the road and turned to look at Ngozi directly. What he said next would change both of their lives forever. Also, I brought you because over these past 2 years, I have come to realize something. You are not just my maid, Ngozi. You have become my friend. My confidant. The person whose smile makes my day better. The person whose opinion I value more than anyone else's. And today, I wanted the world to see you the way I see you. Not as a maid, but as someone special. Someone important. Someone who deserves to be treated like a queen, even if only for one day. Ngozi's eyes filled with tears. Sir, I do not understand. What are you saying? Chidi reached out and gently wiped a tear from her cheek. I am saying that I think I am falling in love with you, Ngozi. And I do not know when it happened or how it happened, but somewhere between you making my breakfast every morning and humming while you clean the house and asking me how my day was when I came home tired, I started to feel something I have not felt in a very long time. I started to feel happy. Really, truly happy. Ngozi could not believe what she was hearing. But sir, I am just a maid. You are a billionaire. This is not possible. People will talk. People will say terrible things. Chidi smiled. Let them talk. I have learned something important, Ngozi. Life is too short to care what other people think. I spent 5 years building a fortune to prove to Amara that she was wrong about me. But today, I realize something. I do not need to prove anything to anyone anymore. I just need to be happy. And you make me happy. Ngozi was crying now, but they were happy tears. Sir. Chidi. I do not know what to say. I have had feelings for you for so long, but I thought it was impossible. I thought you would never see me as anything but your maid. Chidi took her hand. Then let me see you as something more. Let me take you on a proper date. Let me get to know you better. Let us see where this goes. No pressure, no expectations. Just two people spending time together. What do you say? Ngozi nodded, unable to speak because her throat was tight with emotion. Chidi smiled, that genuine, warm smile that she had come to love over the past 2 years. They sat there in the car for a few more minutes, just holding hands and processing everything that had happened. Then Chidi started the car again and drove them home. But what neither of them knew was that back at the wedding reception, something dramatic was unfolding. Amara had locked herself in the bridal suite and was refusing to come out. The guests were getting restless. The expensive food was getting cold. And Obina was standing outside the locked door, trying to convince his new wife to return to their own wedding party. But Amara would not listen. She was crying hysterically, saying the same thing over and over again, I made a mistake. I made a terrible mistake. I want Chidi back. I need Chidi back. Mrs. Nduka was trying to calm her daughter down through the door. Amara, please, you are being ridiculous. You just got married. You cannot talk like this. What will people think? But Amara did not care anymore what people thought. She had spent her whole life caring what people thought, and where had it gotten her? Married to a man she did not love, having lost the one man who truly loved her for who she was. Finally, after an hour of this drama, Chief Nduka made a decision. He announced to all the guests that the bride was not feeling well, that the reception was over, and everyone should go home. People left in small groups, whispering and gossiping about everything they had witnessed. This wedding would be talked about for years to come. It was the wedding where the ex-boyfriend brought his maid and stole the show. It was the wedding where the bride had a meltdown and locked herself in a room. It was the wedding that nobody would ever forget. 3 days passed. Chidi and Ngozi went on their first official date to a nice restaurant by the beach. They talked and laughed and discovered they had so much in common. Ngozi was smart and funny and full of wisdom that came from her hard life experiences. Chidi found himself enjoying her company more than he had enjoyed anyone's company in years. They did not kiss that night, but they held hands as Chidi drove her home, and that felt like enough. It felt like the beginning of something real and beautiful. On the 4th day after the wedding, something unexpected happened. Chidi was in his office at work when his secretary told him he had a visitor. "Who is it?" Chidi asked. His secretary looked nervous. "Sir, it is Mrs. Amara Okonkwo. She says she needs to talk to you urgently." Chidi frowned. What could Amara possibly want? He thought about sending her away, but his curiosity got the better of him. "Fine," he said. "Send her in." Amara walked into his office looking nothing like the bride from 4 days ago. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying. She wore simple jeans and a t-shirt. Her hair was in a messy ponytail. She looked broken. She stood in front of Chidi's desk and said in a shaking voice, "Thank you for seeing me. I know you probably hate me." Chidi leaned back in his leather chair and studied her. "I do not hate you, Amara. I do not feel anything for you at all anymore. What do you want?" Amara swallowed hard. "I want to apologize. For everything. For leaving you when you needed me. For inviting you to my wedding to hurt you. For being so blind and stupid and shallow. You were right about everything you said. I was only interested in money and status. I did not appreciate what we had. And now I have lost you forever." Tears started rolling down her cheeks. "Chidi, I made a mistake. The biggest mistake of my life. I do not love Obinna. I love you. I have always loved you. Can you ever forgive me? Can we start over?" Chidi stood up and walked to the window of his office. He looked out at the Lagos skyline, at all the buildings and cars and people rushing around below. He thought about the question Amara had just asked him. Could they start over? 5 years ago, even 5 days ago, a part of him might have wanted that. A part of him might have wanted to hear Amara say she was sorry, that she made a mistake, that she loved him. But now, standing in his office with Amara crying behind him, Chidi realized something important. He did not want to start over with Amara. He did not want her in his life at all. That chapter was closed. A new chapter had begun with someone who actually deserved his love. He turned around and faced Amara. His face was calm but firm. "Amara, I appreciate your apology. I really do. And I forgive you for everything that happened between us. But forgiveness does not mean we get back together. Forgiveness means I am letting go of the anger I carried for so long. It means I am freeing myself from the pain of our past. But it does not mean I want you back in my life." Amara's face crumpled. "But Chidi, please. I know I do not deserve another chance, but I am begging you. We were so good together once. We can be good together again. Chidi shook his head. No, Amara, we cannot. Because you do not really love me. You love the idea of me now that I am successful. You love what I have become, not who I am. If I lost everything tomorrow, if I went back to being a security guard with holes in my shoes, you would leave me again. I know that, and you know that too if you are honest with yourself. Amara tried to protest, but Chidi held up his hand. Let me finish. The truth is, you taught me a valuable lesson. You taught me that love without loyalty is meaningless. You taught me that I deserve someone who will stand by me in the hard times, not just enjoy the good times with me. And I have found that person, Amara. I have found someone who loved me before she knew I was rich, someone who respected me when I was just her employer, someone who sees value in me beyond my bank account. You are talking about that maid, Amara said bitterly. Yes, Chidi said proudly. I am talking about Ngozi. And she is not just a maid. She is an incredible woman with a beautiful heart. She is everything you could never be, Amara. She is real. Amara wiped her tears angrily. So you are choosing a maid over me? Over someone from a good family? Over someone educated and sophisticated? Chidi walked to his office door and opened it. Yes, Amara, I am choosing Ngozi. I am choosing someone with character over someone with a pedigree. I am choosing someone who values people over status. I am choosing happiness over impressing society. And I hope you can find someone who makes you happy too, but that person is not me. Now please leave my office. I have work to do. Amara stood there for a moment, looking at Chidi one last time. She saw the determination in his eyes, and she knew it was truly over. There was no chance, no hope, no possibility of winning him back. She had lost him forever. She walked slowly to the door, and just before she left, she turned and said, I hope she makes you happy, Chidi. I really do. Because you deserve to be happy. I am sorry I could not be the person to do that for you. Then she was gone, and Chidi was alone in his office. He sat down at his desk and took a deep breath. It felt like a weight had been lifted off his shoulders. The ghost of his past was finally laid to rest. He could move forward now with a clear heart and a clean conscience. He picked up his phone and sent a text message to Ngozi, Are you free tonight? I want to take you somewhere special. A minute later, his phone buzzed with her reply, Yes, I am free. Where are we going? Chidi smiled as he typed back, It is a surprise. Wear something comfortable. I am taking you to meet my mother. That evening, Chidi and Ngozi drove to Enugu, to the big house Chidi had built for his mother. It was a 3-hour drive, and they talked the entire way, about everything and nothing, about their childhoods and their dreams and their fears. When they arrived, Mama Okafor was waiting on the porch. She was an older woman with grey hair and kind eyes that crinkled when she smiled. When she saw Ngozi get out of the car, her smile grew even wider. Chidi, my son, Mama Okafor said as she hugged him. You finally brought someone home to meet me. I have been waiting for this day. She turned to Ngozi and took both of her hands. And you must be the special someone my son has been telling me about on the phone. Ngozi looked surprised. He has been telling you about me. Mama Okafor laughed. Oh yes. He calls me every day, and for the past week, all he talks about is Ngozi this and Ngozi that. Ngozi makes the best jollof rice. Ngozi has the most beautiful smile. Ngozi is kind and smart and wonderful. I told him, son, you better bring this girl to meet me so I can see if she is really as amazing as you say she is. Ngozi blushed deeply, and Chidi looked embarrassed. Mama, you are supposed to keep those conversations private, he said. But his mother just laughed again. Why? I am proud that my son has finally found someone worthy of him. Come inside, both of you. I have cooked dinner. Ngozi, I want to hear all about you. Where you come from, who your people are, what your dreams are. Everything. They spent the evening eating Mama Okafor's delicious cooking and talking. Ngozi told them about her village in Anambra, about her parents who were farmers, about her 5 siblings, about how she had come to Lagos to find work to help support her family. Mama Okafor listened carefully, nodding and asking questions. At the end of the evening, when Chidi went outside to take a phone call, Mama Okafor pulled Ngozi aside. My dear, the older woman said, I want to tell you something. I knew Amara, the girl Chidi used to date. She came here once, to this house before I moved in, when it was still being built. She looked around at the construction and the paint and the furniture, but she never once looked at me. She did not ask me how I was doing. She did not offer to help me in the kitchen. She treated me like I was invisible, like I was just another piece of furniture. That day, I knew she was not the right woman for my son. Mama Okafor took Ngozi's hand. But you are different. You helped me clear the plates after dinner without being asked. You complimented my cooking and asked for the recipe. You looked me in the eyes when we talked. You treated me with respect, not because you had to, but because that is who you are. That is how I know you are the right woman for my son. You have a good heart, Ngozi. Do not ever let anyone make you feel less than you are because of where you come from or what job you do. You are a treasure, and my son is lucky to have found you. Ngozi had tears in her eyes as she hugged Mama Okafor. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for accepting me. When Chidi came back inside, he saw his mother and Ngozi hugging and both of them crying happy tears. He smiled, knowing that bringing Ngozi here was the right decision. His mother's approval meant everything to him. Late that night, as Chidi and Ngozi drove back to Lagos, Ngozi fell asleep in the passenger seat with a peaceful smile on her face. Chidi glanced over at her and felt his heart swell with an emotion he had not felt in years. It was not just attraction or affection. It was something deeper, something real. It was love. True love. The kind of love that does not come from what someone has or what they look like, but from who they are inside. 6 months passed. Chidi and Ngozi's relationship grew stronger every day. Ngozi quit being Chidi's maid and enrolled in school to study business management. Chidi supported her education completely, but he made it clear that she was doing this for herself, not for him. I love you exactly as you are, he told her. But I know you have always wanted to get an education. Now you have the chance. Chase your dreams, Ngozi. I will be here supporting you every step of the way. News of their relationship spread through Lagos society like wildfire. Some people gossiped and judged. Can you believe Chidi Okafor is dating his former maid? They would whisper. What a waste. He could have any woman he wants. But other people saw it differently. They saw it as a beautiful love story, a modern fairy tale where the prince chose the humble girl over the superficial princess. Many young men started to rethink what they were looking for in a partner. Many young women started to appreciate the value of character over status. As for Amara, she and Obinna got divorced after only 8 months of marriage. Obinna realized he deserved to be with someone who actually loved him, and Amara realized she needed to work on herself before she could be in any relationship. She moved back in with her parents for a while, and slowly, painfully, she started to learn the lessons she should have learned years ago. She learned that money and status do not bring happiness. She learned that you cannot buy real love. She learned that sometimes the biggest blessings come in unexpected packages. 1 year after the wedding disaster, Chidi proposed to Ngozi. He did not do it at a fancy restaurant or with a flashy public display. He did it at home, in the kitchen where they had spent so many mornings together, where Ngozi used to make his breakfast when she was his maid. He got down on one knee while she was washing dishes, and he said, Ngozi, you have made me happier than I ever thought possible. You have shown me what real love looks like. Will you marry me and make me the luckiest man in the world? Ngozi turned around with soap suds still on her hands and tears streaming down her face. Yes, she said. Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. They got married 3 months later in a simple but beautiful ceremony in Enugu, in Chidi's hometown. It was not a big society wedding with 1,000 guests and golden decorations. It was a celebration of love with family and close friends. Mama Okafor cried happy tears throughout the whole ceremony. Ngozi's parents came from the village and could not stop thanking Chidi for choosing their daughter. And as for whether Amara was invited to this wedding, no, she was not. But she heard about it, and surprisingly, she sent Chidi and Ngozi a card. Inside, it said simply, "Congratulations to both of you. May your marriage be filled with all the love and happiness you deserve. I am truly sorry for my mistakes, and I am genuinely happy that you found your perfect match. Love, Amara." When Ngozi read the card, she looked at Chidi and asked, "Do you think she means it?" Chidi thought about it for a moment, then said, "I think she is trying to." People can change, Ngozi. Sometimes it takes losing everything to learn what really matters. I hope Amara finds her own happiness someday. But that is our journey to take. Our journey is just beginning, and I cannot wait to see where it leads us. And so the billionaire who once had his heart broken by a woman who only valued his wealth found true love with a woman who valued his heart. The woman who had been a maid became a wife, a student, and eventually a successful businesswoman in her own right. They built a life together based on mutual respect, genuine affection, and unwavering loyalty. They had challenges, of course. Every relationship does. But they faced those challenges together, as partners, as equals, as two people who understood the true meaning of love. And whenever they told their story to their children years later, they would always emphasize the same lesson: real wealth is not measured in money or status. Real wealth is measured in the quality of the people you surround yourself with, the depth of the love you share, and the character you display when nobody is watching. That is the treasure that truly lasts forever.